For the motion.
No.
You voted for the motion. You
No.
voted for the motion.
What
Say
happened to
no.
Chandas?
Chandas.
Where are Chandas people like this?
No,
Chandas,
he said on the
no.
vote.
Say no. No.
A moment in Guyana's history that many people will remember. The moment where a no confidence motion in President David Granger stood. Charandas, the man that many people were talking about in December last year because he voted against his government. And people expected 3 months after that for an election to take place. However, the government challenged the no confidence motion, the legitimacy of that, and the CCJ not too long ago ruled that it should stand. So what is happening in Guyana now? Can we expect an election sometime soon? We have joining us via Skype Mr. Rickford Burke, who is the president of the Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy. Mr. Burke, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure having you because a lot of people are paying attention to what is happening in Guyana. From where you sit, what can you tell us?
Well, currently, what is happening is the government, the APNU AFC coalition government, headed by President David Granger, is currently preparing for elections. In order for that to take place, there has to be the appointment of a chairman of the Elections Commission, and the Constitution requires that the opposition leader submits a list of 6 persons from whom the president can select and appoint as chairman. All 6 names, according to the Constitution, must be persons who are qualified to be a judge, who are a judge or qualified to be a judge, or who are not unacceptable to the president. So they're going through a process of consultation, and once that consultation is finished, the opposition leader will submit that list to the president. The Elections Commission chairman would be appointed, and they can proceed to the commission, proceed to plan and be ready for elections, and so advise the president, who would then prorogue the parliament and name a date for election.
But how long would that take, that process of getting the chairman of the commission?
Well, there's no specific period outlined in the Constitution.
Okay.
And in keeping with the CCJ ruling, the ruling requires them to do it expeditiously, but it did not set a time frame in the declaration of the consequential orders. And so both the opposition leader and the president understand that this is a process that must be done expeditiously.
Because a lot of people expected that after the no confidence motion, 3 months, within a 3-month period, election would have been called, but that did not take place and they went to the CCJ instead.
Right. Well, the Constitution says, consequent upon the successful passage of a no confidence motion and the government is defeated, the government shall call elections within 90 days of that. Of course, you know, that constitutional mandate was superseded by other constitutional matters in the court. And so we have passed that period. It's no longer applicable because, as you know, the Chief Justice upheld the motion. The appeals court in Guyana struck it down, and then it was upheld again by the Caribbean Court of Justice. So by the time the Caribbean Court of Justice would have rendered its opinion, that 90-day process would have passed. So it's no longer applicable. So what the CCJ said is that everyone should uphold the Constitution, and the government should bear in mind that the passage of the original motion took place on December 21st, 2018, and they should move with deliberate speed and dispatch, a matter of urgency to have general elections. Now, what is impeding general elections currently is the voters' list has expired by legislative fiat, which means that the legislature, the Parliament of Guyana, legislated that the voters' list would expire at the end of on April 30th, 2019. So there's no voters' list. So there has to be house-to-house registration, and after house-to-house registration, there has to be a period of claims and objections. And then once that period is completed and the voters' list is satisfied and has met all legal requirements, the Elections Commission would notify the president of its readiness for elections, and the president will approve Parliament and name a date for election.
Because the question is, if this process takes a long time, or longer than expected time, who is going to hold the president or the government to account right now, given that, there isn't a set time frame for the election to be called now?
Well, elections can only be held upon condition of some constitutional requirements which must be fulfilled. And those requirements are a lawful voters list that is clean and acceptable and can facilitate credible elections. Then the Elections Commission has to notify the president. And then once the president is notified, he has to approve Parliament and then call elections. So there are constitutional requirements. And it is not possible to hold elections within 90 days. What will happen is that somebody will challenge the elections, or at least the voters list. Any elector can challenge the voters list, and then the courts will hold it up. Now, the voters list, the opposition is arguing for the expired voters list to be brought back to become operational again.
Mr. Burke.
And proceed to elections with that, and that cannot happen.
All right, Mr. Burke, we have to break for the news. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us, telling us what is happening, and hopefully in the near future we will chat again to continue to monitor what is happening over there in Guyana. That's Mr. Rickford Burke, president of the Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy, just updating us on what is happening there. It is time, however, for us to join Dion Batiste at the TTT News Center.